Star Citizen 4.3 is live, and I kind of missed it going live. I missed a couple things that went live with it, but we will be covering these things today. First up, we're just going to take a look at the update itself, what it includes, and then we're going to do a little dive into the Onyx facilities. I got a few FAQ here that will take us through sort of everything they're supposed to be providing, or everything they want to tell us, and trying to leave some stuff up for exploration and discovery's sake. All right, so pretty. It's honestly, they're getting these videos, the way that they're doing them. They're trying to do something that I actually was really hoping they would do last year. I was thinking to myself, it would be really cool if they started to theme the updates they were dropping. But they're doing it in a different way than I was thinking. I was hoping that they would get around to like theming them in like, this is an industrial patch. Here's some of the stuff that industrial people would like. You know, you would see maybe the small mining update. You would see some little bits of and pieces of cargo being up. You might get something from salvage, you know, like scanning and radar kind of stuff. Then the next update, they would be like, this is an update all around combat and caves, and you would see cave additions, some missions that go into caves, maybe the dynamic crosshair, that kind of stuff. Instead, what we're seeing is updates that are being themed around the location that they're bringing in. Because none of the updates that we've gotten this year have been just the location. You can go to like 4.1 and we got the collision physics updates. We got new armor. We got the mission give a Wicklow. I mean, he actually shows up in the trailer. We got a couple new missions, I think, like combat missions. There was the Atlas Geo with the mining update. There's like a decent amount of stuff that comes into these patches, but so much of it ends up getting focused on the new locations. And then they make the trailers about the new locations. And then they market the new locations. And I think that's why a lot of times when these things come in, people just say they're events. Dark Territory is now going to be referred to by players as an event that was dropped into Star Citizen and will likely not be used or cared about in 2 months. And I think that's hurting the longevity of the stuff that they're putting into these events now, or these updates. Look at me, I did it too. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. The people who care know that there is more going into each of these updates than just a single location with something that may or may not be time limited linked to that location. But I do still think it kind of muddies the conversation surrounding this stuff. We're going to talk about these locations in a second, but we can look through all of the things that they mention here. First of all, obviously, they're talking in big terms about the new locations. Advanced lab creatures left to survive on the meat of unwanted visitors. The dead and dying deserve justice. It's time to uncover the truth. Truth? Did I just say truth? Oh, man. There's that jet lag. It's time to uncover the truth and expose the ethically void corporation that left them to perish. Blow the lid off of this torment so that ASD can never hide again. I will admit 4.3 is actually a little bit lighter in terms of additions outside of these locations. We got snow. But continuing on, they talk about the ASD locations. You get a little bit further down, they talk about the ASD locations. And then besides that, they're selling patch bundles. This doesn't help you. This. All right, let's see. Investigate now. Does this take you to the patch notes? No, this is a chance to sign up. See, these aren't even patch notes for the update. And I just don't think, I'm not even logged in now, you know? And if I scroll down to the bottom of this, I see a $250 ship to buy. I really think that they could do, I think that they could do a better job with the way that they're dropping these updates. There's not a lot to advertise, especially with 4.3, but in general, I just don't think that the way they're doing it is doing a good job of sucking people in. There's nothing here about new armor, new weapons, ladder improvements. Again, aren't huge additions. Nothing in here about... Where are the patch notes? Did they not drop the patch notes? Star Citizen 4.3 patch notes. And maybe it's a Spectrum post? Okay, here we go. So how do you get to this? You have to go to the patch notes section, I guess? Yeah, I don't know. It's... So that main post is definitely like a just marketing post to talk about these new locations. It's not really about the 4.3. It's just about the locations. Well, scrolling down, they mention the Onyx facilities, initial facility access, delving into the deep facility, which is after you complete the phase 1 missions, research labs, engineering. Those are the different wings. Talk about mission distribution tech. Mission distribution tech updates in 4.3 includes an updated way of directing players around locations for missions that are unlimited, such as hauling, Wicklow, and the new Onyx location facilities. This system should greatly improve location spreading when many players are attempting the same missions. Except, if I'm not mistaken, that tech is not in the update. DIG, come on. You guys, there's no way they forgot that in there, right? Mission pickup on locations. This card has been postponed to a later date. Mission distribution updates in 4.3, so that must be something different. Yeah, that's the mission distribution tech. Okay, that's different. That's just not on the release view. I guess they're not including that. But it is still something that is supposed to improve the way that missions are being handed out in this update. Moving on from there, we got new hairstyles, light fighter flight tuning going on. Continuing on from 4.11, 4.2, and 4.2.1. They've done some speed changes, linear accelerations, angular speeds, health pools, other fixes, specifically for light fighters. Done some additional vehicle updates like adding Drake Golem, Misk Fortune, Mirai Guardian, and the Hornet Mark II, Super Hornet, into the store. They've added the Anvil Hornet F7A ball turret to the shops. Added the new Volt Zenith sniper rifle, updated some bit on the shotgun. Improved dynamic snow, ladder improvements are brought in. Personal instance hangar spawning, the ability for players to respawn in the hangars when you load into the game as opposed to in a hab. And then obviously all the bug fixes and stuff that they've done there. Freight elevators, they have fixed it showing internal error when items were placed on top of the elevator building. They fixed the Anvil Carrick exterior cargo panel, shifting position after interaction. They fixed the Lazarus freight elevator, causing items to occasionally disappear when lowered instead of being added to the local inventory. They've also made some mission reward changes. Player ship and items fixed in some various scenarios, technical system fixes, UI and inventory stuff, art and visuals, And then on the tech side, fix 7 client crashes and 2 server crashes. There's more to these updates than just the one location that they brought in the storyline behind it, but clearly they're very, very focused on making sure that's what people see. And I do think that they need to at least include a link to the patch notes on here instead of, maybe a sales thing. Like, inform the folks of what else has changed in this patch. Because some of this stuff is important, but ultimately 4.3 is a fairly light patch for being a quarterly update. And I think a lot of that is because of the cooperation zones and the tech that was needed for that being pushed out. I think this would have felt like a more substantial update than that. But we also have a Q&A, as I mentioned, about these locations, so we can talk about that a little bit here and look at the more in-depth information. So ASD, Associated Science and Development, is a high-end human spacecraft weapons manufacturer headquartered on Persei, Rare 2. Among other common products are energy weapons, distortion cannons, railguns, and shredders. The company's reputation suffered a blow after their EE-6 electron cannon suffered a catastrophic malfunction that resulted in several deaths during its public unveiling. That's not a big deal, just pay someone. Jeez. What are the Onyx facilities? The Onyx facilities are a network of abandoned research sites scattered throughout the Stanton system, totaling nearly 100. It was around 120. Not sure if they just haven't updated this text, but 120, 100, I don't know. How big a difference does that make? While there is still light security in these locations, ASD has abandoned the facilities. Players and mercenary NPCs alike will be exploring these derelict ASD installations to recover data, solve puzzles, and uncover the mysteries within these hazardous locations. Okay? How do I get started? With the release of 4.3, the first 2 wings will be available. Arkan Maller, a new mission giver from Hawkrow Agency, tasks you with venturing into these locations, recovering whatever research data exists, and uncovering the true extent of ASD's experiments into the regen crisis. Okay. The biggest thing that I think gets missed regarding these locations is this next bit. Is there any mission to complete in these Onyx facilities? They mention many contractors will contact you to get their hands on the data and technologies lost in the facilities. This includes Hawkrow, which is what we've already talked about, but it also includes Miles Eckhart in the Mercenary tab, the Bounty Hunters Guild in the Bounty tab, and hauling missions from Redwind in the Hauling tab. So a lot of folks I've been seeing with their criticism of these locations are basically saying, well, you give us a storyline that gives us 5 things to do, and then there's no reason for these locations to exist. But you can see here that CIG has already included these locations in the cargo hauling infrastructure, in the network of places that you might deliver or pick stuff up from. I don't think there's deliveries, but specifically you can be tasked with picking stuff up at these locations. So these are still locations that are adding into the rest of the game. It's not just a storyline. You can also see from the Bounty Hunters Guild and the Mercenary Guild, you might have missions that send you to these locations to do other things, kill certain people, find other people. And this is true of the Hathor facilities too. I've gotten mercenary missions that take me out to the Hathor facilities again in order to go and take out certain targets and find certain people. That's not game changing. It's not going to make anybody's life, better. Sorry, you still have to go to work and live life, and you can't retire early. But it does at least show that there is some effort to still have things occur at locations that are outside of whatever the initial drop is that comes in, whatever the initial story might be. I think that's important. That's something we need to continue to see. And to be honest, it should get a lot more in-depth than just having a little contract here and there. Yeah, and honestly, the distribution centers are getting shafted when it comes to this kind of thing, and they need to be utilized better. These locations on their own shouldn't replace this distribution centers. What they should do is get CIG to create other types of underground facilities and connect those to distribution centers so we can have more gameplay across multiple locations. But this should be encouraged. This kind of stuff should be celebrated, and I'm hoping we'll get into the game and we'll test this ourselves and see what kind of other contracts we can run at these locations, but I'm hoping that this starts to catch on more. People notice it. CIG gets clear feedback that this is a good thing, and we need to keep using these locations for more than just whatever the hot thing is at the moment. What is earned at these locations? They say it is for you to discover a new weapon, rare loot, armors, knowledge. You'll have to search every inch of that forsaken place, face whatever needs facing, and while you're at it, try to come back alive. And the first comment is, hey, these facilities exist. Question, what's in them? Answer, figure it out. Great FAQ. And you know, I don't know what else I would expect from a Spectrum comment. Hey, we got new content. You didn't tell me everything that there is to know about it. Which I guess is what the next comment says. Why explore if you can have prior knowledge about everything, right? Yeah. Like, it probably shouldn't tell us every single thing there is to be known about them. I do appreciate knowing that there are more contracts. And I, like you guys have said in the chat, it is wished and hoped that there is more to do in these locations besides just what we have to do. But as a first drop of underground facilities, first of all, I'm just happy that we're still getting underground facilities. I was really bummed that we haven't seen anything about them and that distribution centers came in and seemingly completely ignored them. So I'm happy to see this. I really do hope that we can get a chance, though, to answer some questions about where this is supposed to go. I don't have it anymore, but the thread that I had up, that was my whole question. You guys are dropping in underground facilities. This is great. Good for the game. But are you going to continue to drive it towards what you said it was going to be 2 years ago, including mining and salvage opportunities and cargo and being able to walk around in this place as a sort of centralized location to get more missions? That's what I think everybody would want to know. The biggest thing I think bugs people about these locations is that there are 100 of them and they're all identical, and they seem to only be made for just this 4.3 narrative. Many people will probably call it an event. And what CIG needs to do is show that these updates are about more than just dropping something in for us, the players, to use at this exact moment. These are about filling out a game that people are going to be playing for years. It's not about us. This is about Star Citizen 1.0. This is about creating content that will last, that can be reused, and that maybe you can get through in 2 weeks' time, but 2 years from now, somebody's going to stumble upon this storyline and get to try it out. In fact, if we go back to the Star Citizen 1.0 panel, I think that's kind of what they were talking about. Yeah, I don't actually know if they mentioned this. They talk mainly about the main story here.
So that's the why. So where is this adventure going to take you? Well, 1.0 is going to include 5 star systems. This story is going to weave you through all of them, but where exactly are you going to go? Build a cast of...
So like this is talking about the main story, but I do genuinely believe that what they're trying to do here is just create storylines that you'll come across as you play the game. We talked about this with mission givers back in the day. Oh, we love taking these missions and contracts from the Moby-Glass, but when you go and you work for T-Ship and Chaco, you're getting 4 or 5 missions that work through a story that you get to see and play and experience on your own time. I think that's all they're doing here. I think they're just making stories that you can come across in the game. And at some point, they're hoping that there is a narrative or storyline or something you can do on any planet or any moon that isn't necessarily made to be run over and over and over and over again, but are more just meant to be things that you can stumble upon and take however much effort and time into it that you want, but ultimately choose to jump out if you're not interested. And if they can keep these stories and preserve them and let people play through them as they experience Star Citizen, but also incorporate the generalized contracts like cargo deliveries that we're also running, it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do it perfectly. It doesn't mean that this is the right model of game for everything or even for Star Citizen, but I think it's a valiant effort. I think it's worth trying, and I think it can lead to a lot of content living in the game for a long time. But here's what they were saying about it then.
Dynamic characters, some of which may be familiar, for both this story and the PU. And the main story is also designed to be sort of like a tour bus structure where you can hop on and hop off at any time you want to. So we're not also requiring you to do it. So if you want to log in day one and just go off and do your thing, you can do that. Or maybe you want to put the story on hold so you can go explore a new facet of gameplay that you just discovered. Go for it. The point is that you can complete it at your own pace. So that's the what. So why do you want to do this? What's the motivation to want to go on this ride? Like Rich said, for new players, it's a great way to ease into sort of the vast lore that we've been developing over 12 years, the gameplay, the locations that the game has to offer, and also give you a sense of upcoming stories that are about to come. But you've been playing Star Citizen for years.
The stories that are about to come. So they kind of hint at it. And if you go and you look at the different guilds that they were introducing at this time, you can also see that those are the guilds they're introducing with this stuff. Specifically with 4.3, the Mercenaries Guild has introduced the Hawkrow Agency. You can see all of the operative FPS stuff they were talking about last year was supposed to come from the Hawkrow Agency. You can also see Citizens for Prosperity, Eckhart Security, who is offering missions at these locations too. They're building in this direction. They're doing it quietly maybe, and they're not making that big of a deal out of it. Might not be the biggest of things happening. But I think a lot of what these locations are supposed to be and where we're headed with this is getting lost in the marketing and the way that they present them. And I'm hoping that they can start to message a little bit more on the overall goal of adding this stuff than just like, hey, it's 4.3. Hey, it's 4.4. Check this out, it's 4.2.1. Yay!
This isn't just...
God dang it. That's what I wanted. That's a little look into the facilities and the additions of 4.3 and my own little bits of criticism on how they could better handle these updates. I'm not a hater. I don't hate Star Citizen. I just think there's things that they could do better, and hopefully they do. Hopefully they learn and continue to explore and grow. Thank you, CIG, for some more fun opportunities, some more fun locations. Can't wait to get into them. We'll see how they go.